Hey brothers, I want to tell you about a website called blackmenszone.com. Now, Black Men's Zone is a site that specifically targets black men. It's a place where black men talk about issues that solely affect them. Now, at Black Men's Zone, the topics will range from news to society, sports, technology, business, food and recipes. Some brothers got to cook too. Gaming, and some of your brothers like doing some of that. Health and fitness, got to get your workout on. Music, movies, and many other topics. Now, there's not many forums around these days for black men, and because black men have to create them. Now, this particular website is more of a forum based, something simple, not social media. You could write what you need to write, say what you need to say, get on, get off pretty quick. But if you're interested, brothers, to at least go there, and I want you to check it out, engage in the topics, go to blackmenszone.com, sign up for an account, and get engaged in the conversation.
Hey, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Today we're going to have a good one for y'all. We got our brother Pocket Watching with JT, or better known as one of the creators that break down all the some of your favorite creators and some financial dealings they may have. I know the brother has talked about some people that got the PPP loans, and I didn't fool with that PPP loan at all, because I'm kind of like, forgiveness, I ain't got to pay it back. Nah, I'd rather pay you back. Something to that. I knew that ahead of time. Something was to that. So definitely, brother, thank you for coming on the show today.
Oh, listen, it's a great honor. I appreciate the invite. I'm excited.
All right. Brother Jay. All right. Better known as JT. All right. So what got you into, because a lot of brothers, from what I see, don't go into, the financial realm, the accounting realm. What got you, really want to go into that?
Listen, I was drafted into this life. So I am the son of two business owners. My mother and my father own a scrap metal recycling business all my life. So since the age of 9, I've been my father's bookkeeper. So when it comes to dealing with numbers and reporting to my father and giving him financial advice, I've been doing this since I was 9 years old. Sent me off to college to make it official, graduated, came back home, went right back to the family business, and just working with numbers and working with money is something that I've been comfortable doing since I was 9 years old.
And I heard a key point. You said your mother and your father.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a partnership. My mother and my father is a partnership. My father is more focused on the operations of the business and all the finances and stuff. And my mother, she had the freedom to, be a stay-at-home mom and stuff like that. But there's also that concept of my mom kept me focused on school. She kept me focused on what I needed to do. She would always reward me based on making sure that I got good grades. My father would reward me based on me doing work.
Right.
If I wanted something, it's like, okay, cool, come to work with me and you'll get paid and you'll be able to do it. So it was that balance of seeing them together my entire life, of knowing how a family business is actually run.
Yes. And the reason why I pointed that out, I say, because, just statistically speaking, children that come from a 2-parent household, they do a lot better in life. Not to say you can't do good from a single parent household, but statistics speaking, right? You grew up, dealing with entrepreneurship. It sounds like, your parents had a traditional family structure, from what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
At least, your father took up time with you, showed you different things. Your mom instilled things in you. And now today, you're branching off doing things on your own. And that's why we promoting the Black community. We need families, brother. We got to have family, mother and father in the household. You are evidence of that.
Yeah, 100%. Even when it just comes down to numbers, right? When you take all of the values away, because clearly there's a lot of value in having a 2-parent home. But if you just look at it monetarily, when I'm doing a financial plan for a single parent versus doing a financial plan for a married couple, it's totally different, right? The ability and the resources that you can actually apply to the upbringing of your child is vast and far beyond what you can do when you are a single parent. Think about the money that goes into daycare, the energy of a single parent when they're able to come home. Are they really resting, right? Because they have to recharge for that next day, or do they have time to actually spend with the child, ask them about, how your day is going, the friends that you hang out with in school. I was able to come home from school every day and be greeted by my mother. And she asked me about how was my day. She'd stay on me about my schoolwork. My father was able to take care of the bills and the finances of the home. And there was a balance that honestly, I could look around the classroom and see I automatically had an advantage over other students because I had those resources and they didn't.
Yes, sir. And that's why I say that's just very, very important that we got to keep hammering that home. The traditional family structure works.
Absolutely.
All these alternative structures and things like that have failed us for sure. Mm-hmm. But as you being a financial planner, you hear a lot of things being said online about finances. What's one of the biggest things that you hear that's pushed to Black people about? Oh, you can just do this and do that, and then you go, oh, come on now, this is just a wash. Like, what have you seen that you could say don't pay attention to that?
I think one of the biggest things, and I know I'm going to get pushed back for this, but I'll take it. I'm a big boy. I can take it.
Okay.
One of the biggest things that I see that is flawed is this concept of you have to be a business owner to be successful in America. That's just simply not true. Now, can you become wildly successful as a business owner? Absolutely. But when we push the narrative that if you're not a business owner, you're not successful. If you have a W-2 job, you're lame. You're not doing what needs to be done to have any type of clout or respect in the community. That is wrong, because you can be wildly successful. You can become wealthy with a W-2 job and just making sure that you properly save and invest your money in the long term. We have far too many people in the Black community who see themselves as business owners, but in reality, they're just hustling. And they're hustling to get by on a minimum wage type of salary, right? A minimum wage salary can get you around $35,000 a year. There's guys who are hustling every day on the streets or doing whatever side gigs that they think they're doing, and they're making around $40,000 a year. But they're not paying into Social Security. They don't have any retirement investments that they're building up. And they end up 60 years old, 70 years old, greeting people at Walmart because they always was in a hustler's mentality and they never figured out either how to become a true business or just decide that they're going to get an advanced skill that's going to pay them well and they're able to build for the future.
Now, what you just said, let me ask some questions to that.
Sure.
So you do taxes, you see all kind of people come in.
Yes.
And in your view, everybody's view of success is two totally different things, right? Mm-hmm. But the people who have a little bit more financial freedom, is it the person that punches a clock, or is it the person that, work with time? Of course, when you get in business, doesn't mean you're going to just be successful right off the bat. It may, on average, what they say, at least 10 years for you to really to do something good. Which one in your opinion do you think would, based off of you filing taxes years, is a W-2 earner or the business owner?
I got it. It's two parts.
Okay.
Right? The answer is two parts. Part number one, the business owner is going to have more flexibility in their time. Mm-hmm. Right? They're going to have more flexibility in their time. Let's say you've got a kid, and I've got children, and you have a kid that has some sort of dance recital or some sports activity, and it's like in the middle of the day. Well, if you work a 9 to 5, you probably are going to have to request time off, or if you don't have any time to request off, you are not going to be able to go. If you're a business owner, you just stop everything, you go to the event, and then you have to get back to work. So that's freedom, right? And that's the thing that most people think. So there is a lot of freedom and flexibility in being a business owner. But there's another side of the coin that people don't consider. The other side of the coin is, okay, because you weren't working, you've got to make that up, right? So now, even though you're at your kid's game and you're watching, your mind is always working and thinking about the business. So you're there physically, but you might not be there mentally. while the employee, they clock in at 9 and they clock out at 5, and they leave all the worries of the job at the job. I've been, self-employed for some time now. I've been raised by people who are self-employed. When you are really a business owner, you're almost never off the clock. I'm always thinking of something. I'm always trying to compete with my competition in my mind of how I can do better, how I can grab more of the of my competition space so that I can be more competitive and get more out of the market. So yes, there's freedom, but you also have to have a mad dedication to the business that says, hey, I don't clock in at 9 and clock out at 5. I'm really thinking about this all my waking hours so that I can have a successful business. And then you also got to consider retirement. A lot of small business owners, they do not properly set up an opportunity for retirement. They make good money. They can make hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, but because they're not properly investing in their future to retire, when we get to the mid 50s and 60s, you'll see that W-2, on average, that W-2 employee have way more flexibility and have a more comfortable retirement than the average self-employed person. So there's two sides of it. It really comes down to the personality of the individual. If you have the personality of an entrepreneur, meaning that you can go, you can wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning and you can keep grinding and keep working because you just love the game, you love the business world, then yeah, you're probably going to be successful at it. But that's not everybody. You have to have an obsessive quality, an obsessive personality to be really good at business. You got to be extremely obsessive about what you do. That doesn't always make the best person, right? When you're I'm extremely obsessive to the point where if I play tic-tac-toe with my nephew, I don't let him win because I'm always trying to compete. That doesn't make for the best person. So in general, that's why I generally say you're probably better off striving to get an advanced skill after high school. Doesn't mean it has to be a 4-year college degree, but you need an advanced skill. Maybe go to trade school, maybe join a union. You have to do something to get an advanced skill so that you can demand more out of the marketplace so that you're making a middle class level income, and just make sure that you're not blowing your money. Make sure that you are investing anywhere between 15 to 20% of your income so that when it is time to retire, you have something to retire with.
Yeah, well, the key is, that just reality speaking, and you kind of touched on this. Not everybody's going to be a business owner. They don't have it in them. Some people is going to be employee. That's true.
Right.
But how I look at it, coming from the Black community, I believe that we should have more businesses, create them, and then hire our people where we can give them the flexibility to do the things that maybe we can do as business owners. Because regular corporate America don't care about your little boy's football game or your little girl's gymnastic or dance competition or something like that.
Right.
And that's why I'm a big proponent of creating businesses. But you're right. Some people, that's not in them to do. And that's okay. It's actually okay.
And that's the main point that I'm trying to get across. Yeah. It's the shaming of the employee that we have to stop doing.
Right.
Like, we got to stop shaming the employee, and then we have to also start to cultivate and create legitimate businesses, right? Just because you went to, online and got an LLC doesn't quite mean you have a legitimate business yet. Like, you can still hustle with an LLC. Mm-hmm. We want to cultivate and create legitimate businesses that do their accounting correctly, that actually hire people correctly and don't just pay people under the table. We want to make sure that we promote doing business correctly, because there is a huge culture on YouTube, on social media, about creating hustle businesses, finding loopholes and trying to find slick ways to get as much out of banks and different things, lying on applications, how you can hustle your way into creating a big business, instead of just saying, listen, It's going to be hard at first. Yes, you're going to have to grind at first. When you start your business, no one's going to give you a business loan because you have nothing yet. You have to first either prove yourself in the marketplace, or you're going to have to put up personal collateral to back your loan. That's the reality. And when you create a culture around trying to find ways around it, you're going to end up with a lot of hustle businesses instead of legitimate, sustainable businesses that can hire Black employees.
That's correct. And also, even about the banks, you know, talking about you want to get something from them, they need to see a certain amount of money coming into your business a year before you can even think about that. You know, you can't just open up your LLC and talk about, oh, I need $50,000. I'm like, well, you ain't made $50,000. How will we feel comfortable giving that to you?
Right. And there's people online who just talk. They talk and they talk and they talk about all these possibilities that you can do, but they never done it. The reason why I know they never done it is because I know it isn't done like that. That's not how the business world is. A bank is not some sort of nonprofit organization looking to just give people money. A bank is in the business of trying to make money. If you cannot prove that you can pay them back plus interest, there's no reason for them to give you any money. Just think about it in your personal life. If you know a guy has no job, no income, and they ask to borrow $10,000 from you, you're going to look at them like, there's no way you're going to pay me back. That's the way the banks are. You have to think like an adult. At some point, we have to stop babying our culture, right? I think that's an issue. We baby our culture and like, oh, okay, well, I know that you can't compete with other communities, so we're going to find little ways and little shortcuts because you're not big and strong enough to compete with us. No, that's not how I was raised. My father taught me that I can compete with anybody. You line me up at the same line as everybody else, and I'm going to run. You don't have to give me a head start. I'm going to run with everybody else. And if I win or lose, I take it on the chin because I'm going to do the best I can, and I regret nothing at the end of it. So as a community, we just have to stop trying to find shortcuts and just say, listen, yes, it's hard at first to start anything, to achieve any dream. But if you really want it, you'll go through all of the stress, all of the hard work. You'll wake up early, you'll go to sleep late, and then you get to reap the reward of your efforts.
That's correct. And you mentioned, you know, a lot of people, you know, you see them on TikTok trying to teach people how to get certain loans, trying to get certain credit cards and all of that. And the way I've always conducted my business is, look, pay your doggone taxes. Don't do nothing loopholey, nefarious. If it's not legal in the tax code, I don't want nothing illegal. Because you know, especially us as Black people, we got to follow the letter of the law. And I know you see these people online trying to tell people, oh, go to Navy Federal and you can do this. You know, like I heard they got this VIN number thing they doing when they trying to get Navy Federal, but they didn't realize and they committing a crime when they giving them fake VIN numbers.
Absolutely. See, they would call you and me talking like this, we're lames. We're scared to go get the white folks' money. That's what they would say. Like we scared. But that's the general fraud that they were trying to commit against Navy Federal was that, hey, and just like we just talked about a bank not willing to give you cash if you don't have a business plan or you have no business history, these online scammers thought of this scheme. They say, well, we know that the bank is not going to give you money because you have no business plan, you have no business history, you have no collateral. So instead of going to the bank legitimately asking for a loan that you know you're going to get denied, go to the bank and say you want to buy a car. Because you know a bank will lend you money to buy a car, but instead of actually buying a car, just go online, get some random VIN number from a car that you have no intention whatsoever to buy, give them that VIN number, tell them how much the car is going to cost, and then they'll cut you a check for the car. But you're not going to buy the car, you keep the money and you start your business with that money. That's fraud. That is bank fraud. That is a federal offense. But there's guys who don't just say this stuff online. They actually charge people money for this type of fraudulent financial advice. That was the birth of my channel, Pocket Watching with JT. It was to show people the difference between actual legitimate financial advice. I'm a certified financial planner. I didn't just wake up one day and want to talk about money. I went to college. I studied. I have licenses. I got certified in giving people financial advice. I want to show people the difference between legitimate financial advice, things that can actually help you achieve your goals, and this scammer stuff that will either put you in a bad financial spot or can put you behind bars. That's what I try to teach people.
And that's so needed because, you know, it's no such thing as get rich quick. It's just no such thing as that. And for y'all, you know, some people out here, you know, like I say, when you had the time of the pandemic and, you know, people was getting all these, you know, PPP loan things, people that lost their freaking mind. And at the same time, I really kind of followed the federal government for, because if the federal government would to say, okay, give me 2 years business act returns, nobody would, they wouldn't even have the massive, you know, fraud they had with that. Right. And I don't know who was running it. I don't even know.
Yeah.
But I knew something was fishy when they say, oh yeah, you can get whatever amount of money is loan forgiveness. I'm like, what? The federal government don't give you nothing for free. I'm like, no, if you're going to get something, get the one you got to pay back.
Yeah, see, there's two sides to it. So, because I absolutely agree with you, the government dropped the ball.
Yeah.
But they did kind of cover themselves a little bit when it comes to this part of it. When they were accepting and collecting the information for these loans, they said in the loan, they said, listen, we are going to allow you to self-certify the information that you're giving us, because we're in the middle of a pandemic. Many of you probably don't even have the ability to go outside and go see your accountant, go see your financial advisor. So we're going to allow you to self-certify this information. We want to know how much money your business brought in last year, what type of business that you have, all this. But they said, listen, we do have the right to go back and ask you for the actual documents later. The economy was shut down. They wanted to pump money into the economy. They said, listen, if you are lying, we're going to go back and double check and make sure that the information that you're giving us is correct. Now, see, most of the scammers forgot that part. They just focused on the fact that, oh, I can just tell them that I made, you know, $100,000 last year and they'll give me $20,000. Yeah, but you forgot the part that they get to go back and check your tax records. They get to go back and look at all of your paperwork. And then Biden came in and they extended the statute of limitations. The statute of limitations was around 2 years for them to go back and double check your info. The Biden administration pushed it to 10 years. So even if you go 4, 5, 6 years down the road, you say, yeah, I got that PPP loan, no one found out. They can still come after you. They have 10 years. And just to touch on what you talked about, sudden wealth. People don't understand that sudden wealth in all of its forms, meaning getting rich quick, normally is negative. Even when it comes to lottery winners. There's one stat out there that says 70% of lottery winners end up broke. Athletes and entertainers, they make a lot of money, but they end up broke. Why? It came fast. And when money comes fast, it tends to leave fast. You really want to be able to build wealth over time, because during that time, you actually learn to manage. See, when I was younger and the most money I had in my bank account was $5,000, I learned how to manage $5,000. Then I learned how to manage 15, then 50, right? Then 100, then 200,000. See, it came over time. But if that same 18-year-old kid who had $5,000 in my bank account had $100,000 in my bank account, that money would have been gone. So you do want to learn how to build wealth and manage it over the long term. Short-term money feels good, but it leaves just as fast.
Yeah, and they did have a clause on it that said, and this was getting people too, is they said you had to have an established business
Yes.
prior to that application.
Yes.
And you having folks that got the money, then say they creating a business just that month, or didn't have really no business at all. And I'm like, you do realize that all they're gonna do is go check the IRS tax record. That's what's getting all them people. It's just your taxes.
Yeah.
You never had a business at all
Never.
on your taxes. Now, there's one guy I think I saw on that got arrested. He had got $20,000 in one of them loans, and talking about he had made $80,000 being breeding dogs, and he didn't have no breeding dog business, no nothing.
Right. It's laughable when you hear how ridiculous the information was that they filled out. But the fact that they got the money, they felt like, oh, everything's good. You know, we're good. I got the money. They even forgave the loan. I filled out the paperwork for them to forgive the loan, but you are still subject to them checking and making sure that the information was correct. I mean, normally your tax information, like most people don't realize this, but your tax information is one of the hardest things for the government to get. Like before the government can go and look at your tax information, they have to have a legitimate reason. They have to jump through some hoops normally to get your tax info. Everybody who applied for a PPP loan, you gave the government the loophole to not have to go through all that stuff. When you applied and signed up for a PPP loan, you said, listen, y'all can check you have my permission to check my tax records whenever you want. That makes it that much easier for the IRS, for the DOJ, for whatever alphabet organization to go check your stuff. They don't have to go see a judge. They don't have to get anything. You already gave them permission to check all your back tax records to see if you actually qualified for the loan.
Well, look, I saw some corporations doing this in the beginning where they had got the PPP and then it came out they shouldn't have been able to get it, so they hurry up and paid it back. We gave it right back. So if a person is watching, because this is a hot topic right now, you're a financial advisor. So if a person got one of those PPP loans and they wasn't supposed to, what do you advise them to do?
The number one thing I would say, they need to contact an attorney. They need to contact an attorney that deals with white collar crime, because that's what this is. This is white collar crime. This is fraud. So I know, people might have a lot of experience dealing with traffic attorneys and, criminal attorneys. You need to deal with an attorney that specializes in white collar crime. The conversation that you're going to have with that attorney is going to be privileged, meaning he cannot then snitch on you. So you're going to be in a comfortable situation so that you can have a real conversation with an attorney who can advise you what's the best move to make to minimize your exposure to criminal proceedings. A good enough attorney may be able to make a deal with the government where you just pay back the money. There's no big criminal exposure that you may have. I don't know. I'm not an attorney, but if I know that I'm in a situation where I may have broke the law, I defrauded the federal government, I'm going to contact a criminal attorney, have attorney-client privilege, so I can tell him everything that I did, and he's not going to go snitch me out, and he's going to give me advice of what I can do to keep myself out of jail. That's what you need to do. Talk to an attorney.
Yeah, so basically they can't just say, oh, shoot, if they had the money, let me go ahead and send this money back. They can't just do that. They got to actually go say, I've known some people that actually legitimately got the PPP loan, legitimately. And they still paid it back. You say, nah, I don't want nothing to deal with that. I just don't trust that with the government. I don't give them their money back.
Right. And the reason why, and I'm speaking personally, I'm not giving legal advice because I'm only licensed to give tax advice and investment advice, financial advice. That's all I'm licensed to do. But I'm speaking personally. The reason why I wouldn't just pay it back without talking to the attorney is, in my mind, that's my leverage, right? If I pay it back, right, but I'm still found guilty of the fraud in the first place without creating some sort of deal between the attorney and the government, I have no leverage to try to minimize whatever punishment they may give. So I want to first talk to an attorney, see what the attorney thinks is best, because the attorney may want to go to the government and say, listen, my client was confused They got bad information about if they qualify for this loan or not. We are coming to you first before y'all come to us. And he has the money to pay back. See the leverage that an attorney would have to work out a deal. Now, if you go to him and say, yeah, I already paid back the money. Can I get a deal? It's like you don't. It's like maybe you'll get a deal, but I'd rather give my attorney as much leverage as possible when he's trying to negotiate a deal for me than to go ahead and pay it back and then talk to the attorney. I'm talking to the attorney first.
Yeah, so ladies and gentlemen, in the future, in case anything happened like that, which I don't ever see that happening too much again with that much dropping the ball, read, consult people like Pocket Watchman JT before you get that. Do you qualify? Which one you may qualify for or not qualify for? Just ask questions, because too many people got information online and ran with it, and now people getting jammed up.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, there's literally people who gave you step-by-step instructions on how to get the loan, right? There's a guy named Bandman Kevo. I'm assuming his first name is Kevin, right? Mm-hmm. I don't know what his real name is.
I know who you're talking about. I'll be seeing I think he'd be on Say Cheese sometime.
Yeah, he has a huge platform. I mean, he has millions of followers.
Mm-hmm.
He has on YouTube a step-by-step process of how to get a PPP loan. I mean, exactly like what numbers to put down on different forms of how to do it. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh, wow.
Step by step of exactly what to fill out, what website to go to, what numbers to put on tax forms so you can get the maximum amount of money. Like, he's got a step-by-step thing. And when you have people who are sitting at home during a pandemic, they're out of work, and they see this online from someone that has a blue check mark by their name. Mm-hmm. Now, naturally, guys like you and I, we're going to look at it, suspect. But, someone who doesn't have the background that we have, and they see someone with a blue check mark by their name saying, do this and you can get $20,000, they're probably going to do it.
So what ended up happening to him?
Oh, nothing yet. Absolutely. I'm telling you.
They know. Oh, trust me. They when they come after him, but they're going to come after him, probably.
Yeah. The one thing about the federal government that a lot of the average person, they don't understand the process of law enforcement on the federal level. The average person has an experience of how law enforcement works on the local level. On the local level, a crime happens, and law enforcement, as fast as they can, they attempt to stop it or catch the criminals who committed the crime immediately, as fast as possible. That's how it works on the local level. On the federal level, they got time. On the federal level, they will literally sit back, watch you commit not one crime, but 2, 3, 4, 5. They will watch you commit crimes for years before they step in, because they want a 100% error-proof, foolproof conviction against you. Plus, when you have multiple people involved and they can build a conspiracy case, they will sit back and watch you commit crime after crime after crime. And then when they're good and ready, when they feel like they can get as many people in the web as they can, that's when the federal government steps in. And I just want people to understand the difference between local level law enforcement and federal level law enforcement, because there's a lot of people out here who believe that they're never going to get caught up because I got that money 2 years ago, I'm good. No, they got time. The federal government always has time.
Yeah. So with that being said, folks, just do what's right, and you won't have those problems. That's all. Just do what's right. That's how I always wanted to operate my business. I was like, look, we gotta follow the letter. We gotta do that no matter what it is. You know what I'm saying? But right now, at least at the filming this video, it's definitely toward the end of the tax season, I guess, at least for you. So people like you, outside of tax season, which is definitely one of your most busiest seasons, you say you just work with, financial planning and things like that for people, because maybe if, some of the audience say, okay, well, not taxes. What kind of financial planning services do you offer if they want to contact you?
Great question. So normally when I first got into, having my own shingle, because before I was my family's personal financial advisor, right? Something that you would consider a family office. I worked for my father and then generally the family. When I hung my own shingle and started my own practice, a lot of my work involved IRS tax issues. So obviously the preparation of tax returns, but there are IRS collections, audits, appeals. I did a lot of work and kind of was known in the local area for my work with tax settlements. People would come to me and they would owe the IRS hundreds of thousands of dollars, and I would step in and represent them to try to get a tax settlement so where they would pay less than what they actually owed. And generally what I found out is the reason why they got that big tax problem is because they have absolutely no financial plan for their life. So that's when I also opened up and branched out to financial planning, where people come to me and they're living paycheck to paycheck, right? They have a lot of debt. They may own their own home. Maybe they're renting. They have no money invested for retirement, and they, get a consultation from me, and we work out a plan to get them from paycheck to paycheck and to create a way to start paying down debt and investing for their future. Because ultimately, you don't want to be 71 years old greeting people at Walmart or doing whatever work. You want to be able to enjoy your life, and you can't enjoy your long-term life with the mindset of, I'm going to blow money fast. I'm going to live it up now. Because trust me, there's a lot of people who are in their mid-50s, their mid-60s, wishing they had the opportunity, that people who are watching this right now, wishing they had the opportunity to start working on the long-term financial plan. So I represent people with tax issues all year round. Obviously, I do tax preparation during tax season, but I also give consultations. I help work with people to create a plan for them to actually build wealth and stop this endless cycle of generation after generation, starting from ground zero.
All right. So the last thing I definitely want to focus on is that, some people that watch our channel, some of them say, hey, I want to be the kind of person that has me a second address outside of America. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so they want to start putting money in, let's say, different banks, let's say the African continent, something like that. They want to move their money to banks and do different things there. Now, what is one thing that I didn't even know until I really looked into it, I kind of got upset about. Is that you put your money in a bank in an African country, and you got to tell the IRS every dime that you have in that account. And if you don't, in the fine and penalty could be up to 50% of the worth of that account.
Yeah, listen, the IRS, when you are a U.S. citizen, you are taxed on your worldwide income. It does not matter where you make your money. If you are a U.S. citizen, you have to disclose, and it's in every tax return, right? It's just most people are not in this situation.
Right.
But every tax return, it will ask the question, do you have assets overseas? Do you have money in a foreign bank? You are to disclose this information. If you do not disclose this information, the penalties can absolutely be heavy. It's not even worth it. So generally, if you do want to put money into a foreign bank, not exactly sure why. I mean, there's different investments that you can have that are safe, even in companies that are US based, but they're acting abroad. But if you do want to do business with foreign entities, there's ways to do it, but do not have the mindset of thinking, oh, I didn't earn this money in the US, I don't have to report it. You absolutely have to report it.
Well, let's say if you're a person that say, okay, whatever country you want to be in, right? You say, you can pick one. I know we're going to Kenya, right? We're going to Kenya here in a few weeks. And you say, okay, I want to put some money in the Kenyan bank because, maybe let's say you want to stay in Kenya, right? I got a place in US, got me a place in Kenya, right?
Sure.
So let's say during the year, you connect your bank to your bank over there, you're sending money, in your account over there, maybe you'll operate some business eventually, You know, so it's different reasons why people would do it like that. But what you're saying is that what most people didn't know. And then the thing is, and correct me if I'm wrong, that the United States got so much of a hold on the world that the foreign banks will report to the American government about your money.
Oh, absolutely. Now there are certain countries that
certain.
Right. They don't have that relationship, but for the most part, the countries that you want to go to are most likely going to be countries that do have that relationship. Now, it's not as if you're going to be taxed twice. I don't want people to be confused. If I have $50,000 of money that was already taxed and I put it in a Kenyan bank, then I'm not going to get taxed twice. The only difference is I need to disclose that the money's there, for one. And if that bank pays me any interest on the money that I have deposited there, I need to pay tax on the interest that I made on that money. That's it. You just want to be straight up with people. You know, as long as you're not trying to hide something from the federal government, you're probably going to be fine. You just want to make sure that everything is, transparent.
Yeah, and when people don't understand, they say, okay, I'm leaving the U.S. I'm not going to be there no more. I'm saying you made about $5 million in that country, right? That's what you made. You ain't been here even in 5 years, but you done made it. You owe, and JT can correct me if I'm wrong, you owe the taxes on that money, and you ain't stepped foot in U.S. soil in 5 years.
Right. Now, there are certain exclusions. I deal with clients who live abroad a lot.
Okay.
There are certain exclusions to that. Now, you have to show that you have been away from the U.S. for a majority of the year. If this was W-2 income and you are paying taxes to the home country, then the U.S. government will give you a credit for the taxes that you paid to foreign country. So let's just say, for example, I've been living in Canada and I made $100,000 and I had to pay Canada $20,000. Well, if I also file a U.S. tax return and I show them, hey, I was in Canada and I paid Canada taxes, they'll let me go, because there's an exclusion of around $150,000 of income that you can make out of the U.S. if you were living abroad that the U.S. government won't even tax you on, because you have that exclusion of that amount. Now, the number that you gave, 5 million, is above that exclusion, right?
Yeah.
So if you're in that mindset, you have to already declare, hey, I'm no longer a U.S. citizen. You got to be proactive. You can't retroactively be like, you know what? I'm not a U.S. citizen anymore.
Okay, so you basically, you're making that kind of money, you need to renounce.
Yeah, at that point, if you know you no longer are going to be a U.S. citizen, you're going to be living in this country full time, then you need to make sure that you take that proper steps to say, I am no longer a U.S. citizen. I'm no longer obligated to pay taxes on my worldwide income if I'm no longer a U.S. citizen. Just know you're going to be paying taxes in the country where you did make that money. You're not in some sort of limbo where, okay, I'm not paying the U.S., so I'm not paying any other country. You're going to have to now pay taxes in the country you're a citizen of.
Correct. Yeah. So like I said, the United States, and we are citizens, and I read we are one of the only countries in the world that do that to their citizens.
Well, I mean, it really depends, but we do have agreements with other countries. Like I said, you would receive a credit for taxes that you pay in another country. Because I deal with clients who are not U.S. citizens. They're over here on a green card. They're working. They are paying U.S. taxes because they're making money here. But the money that they make in their home country, that's not taxed by the U.S. because they're not U.S. citizens. And they do have agreements to say, hey, I already paid X amount of taxes on this money to this other country. And the U.S. government says, okay, we'll give you a credit for that.
Right. So, like I said, it's when you get into that financial realm and start talking about the taxes. Now, of course, like I said, that what I was talking about, it definitely applies to people who has businesses, or just people just because I want to go to this African country, I want to go open up a school, I'm going to open up a this and that and the third, and they're like, yeah, but you just make sure you let Uncle Sam know what you got going on.
Look, if you're at that stage, if you're at the point of, hey, I want to be able to go to another country and do some sort of business transaction, you need to be also at the stage of, I have a team.
Right.
I have a financial advisor, I have an accountant, and I have an attorney. If you do not have those things, you're not ready to do business in another country. That's another issue. And I don't want to.
Yeah, I got you.
We're too big and trying to get something that we can only get to the door. We try to do stuff. It's like, I got just enough money to get to the door, but I can't do everything right. If you do not have the resources to do it the right way, it's best to just pump your brakes, wait till you build up the resources that you need so you can do it all the way 100% full, right? So if you do have a dream of doing business overseas and you're like, well, I got the money to do the business, but I don't have the money to get the attorney. I don't have the money to get the financial advisor. I'm just going, then you're not ready yet. It's okay. There is value in actually taking the time to get yourself properly set up so you don't make a misstep. The reason why a lot of small Black businesses fail, in my experience, is not because they have a bad product. It's not because they have bad service. It's because they have bad business techniques and bad business practices. They don't actually take the time to either outsource, hire professionals that come in on, a time-to-time basis, or hire someone to come in to help do the actual bookkeeping and the financial stuff. We have great products. We have great services. We have to promote better business practices so that we don't just have mom and pop businesses. We have multinational corporations, because that's how businesses run on a global scale.
Yeah, and brother JT, definitely, man, I appreciate you coming on today, brother. Definitely spitting some high five for a lot of people that need to know. You know what I'm saying? Because finances is something that we need to think about, and also financial planning, because Social Security is not gonna, that's don't even think about that at this point. I mean, you know that as well as I know that, because I looked into my Social Security and what they say I would get at 65, and then if I wait to 70, like, why would I wait to 70? But anyway, right. I'm like, this is ridiculous. That's no money for nobody to live on. So please, contact our brother JT, for some financial planning, if anything, or you need help with taxes, or if you want to put your business together, get a consultation, book the brother's time. Also his in the title, we're gonna put, his channel. So that way you can click it. I want to make sure you go subscribe to the brother's channel and check out his content. But JT, what you want to leave with the people real quick before you wrap up, brother?
Yeah, I just want people to know, listen, with my content, I do a call-in financial talk show. I give you the opportunity to call me up and ask me your personal finance question, your business question. I'm not just sitting here ranting about good financial information and bad financial information, just leaving it at that. I'm giving you the opportunity to call me up live on the air, ask me your personal financial question, and I'm going to give you the financial tip to help you achieve your goals. You can always reach out to me by going to my website, pocketwatcher.net.
All right, make sure you go to his website. We'll make sure to put everything below in the pinned comment for sure. And make sure definitely, once again, go subscribe to his channel. If you have any questions, thoughts, concerns, call into his show live, and possibly you can get through and he'll holler at you. So JT, I appreciate you, brother, for taking up the time out your busy schedule, especially with tax season, just to talk with us.
Listen, I'm a big fan of your content, my brother. Keep doing what you're doing. I appreciate it.
Hey family, make sure you join us on the new and improved AfricanDiasporaNews.org. Now, it is our uncensored and raw truth website. We have to make sure to have our own website, because on social media platforms, they do have rules, and at any time they could change a rule and shut a whole genre down. Now, that would not happen to us, because on AfricanDiasporaNews.org, we can speak the truth. We don't have to hold back. So make sure you join our website today.